Hi, welcome, lovelies. My name is Jem. I'm a psychic medium and I'm an author. And on this channel, you will find various content. I always ask that my audience remains skeptical, question everything, including me. Okay, now I have done a similar video, but I thought this was so important because, as I claim to be a psychic, I am constantly asked, why aren't you rich? So here is this commentary: why psychics don't win the lottery, even when they're lucky. There's a question that comes up again and again. If psychics can see the future, if mediums can tune into something beyond ordinary perception, why aren't they all rich? Why aren't they sitting there quietly with winning lottery tickets in their pockets? It sounds like a contradiction. But when you really look at it, the answer is far more human and far less mystical than people expect. Part 1. The illusion of control. Let's start with something important. Gambling feels like control, but mathematically it isn't. Games like roulette, pokies, and lotteries are designed around probability. That means outcomes are random. Patterns can appear, but don't continue. Short bursts of luck are normal. So when someone has a run of wins, it can feel like, I'm influencing this. But what's often happening is something else. The brain is incredibly good at spotting patterns, even when they're not really there. Part 2. My experiences. Now, I want to bring this into something real because I've experienced something similar. There have been times where I've had what feels like extraordinary luck, guessing outcomes correctly, winning in ways that feel beyond chance, even moments where it feels like I'm influencing the result. I've had experiences like on a roulette where you guess a number, getting 10 out of 10 correct outcomes, strong intuition with horse racing, and vivid dreams about winning combinations. And in those moments, it doesn't feel random. It feels precise. It feels directed. Part 3. But then the other side. But here's the part that matters. Despite all of that, I'm not rich. I've never had that big win. And there have been moments where I've almost won something life-changing. And I'll share an experience. I had put nearly hundreds of dollars in a pokey machine where you have to, when the free spins come, guess the amount of airplanes. And because my guesses every time the free spins, because I'm pretty greedy, I'll go 25. And I had a friend with me and I won another free spin. And because I'd been losing, they said go minimum when I wanted to go maximum. Well, I won free spin within free spin. Had I gone maximum like I wanted to do, I would have won over $35,000. Now, here's a few other things. If I chose differently and the outcome changed, or if I held back and wondered, what if? That creates a powerful question. If I had chosen differently, would the outcome have been the same, or would it have disappeared? In other words, with my elephants, if I had gone maximum like I wanted to, would I have lost again? Part 4. The destiny versus decision loop. This is where the mind starts to loop. Was it destined, influenced, or dependent on the exact choices I made? Because in gambling, one small change, a different bet, a different amount, a different moment can completely change the outcome. And I'll share something else. When I last saw my youngest, we were betting on the races, and we're not big betters. So we chose 3 roughies, and because they were so rough, we put 50-cent trifecta. We won over $50. So had we chosen like $1, $2, would we still have won? So this can feel like I was meant to win, but only under very specific conditions. Part 5. The psychological reality. Here's the grounded explanation. Humans are wired to remember wins more vividly than losses, connect meaning to coincidence, build narratives around chance. So, when something unusual happens, it gets stored as this meant something, especially if you're already intuitive, emotionally aware, or pattern sensitive. Those traits can make experiences feel even more significant. Part 6. Trauma and gambling. There's another layer here too, and this part is important. When gambling is tied to early experiences like mine, especially fear, stress, or instability. So I had a father who, as you know, was a very violent, drunken man who abused me, and he was a gambler. And we would come home from school and he would have lost all his money, and he would ask me to pick the last race, and I would pick always the winner, but I was in the bedroom so scared. Anyway, trauma can create a very complex relationship with luck. So from that experience, I described that I was being in fear. I was being asked to choose outcomes. I was being linked to winning in a high-stress environment. That can wire the brain to associate intuition equals pressure, luck equals responsibility, winning equals emotional tension. So even later in life, there can be hesitation to go all in, fear around losing, a push-pull between risk and safety. Part 7. Why the big win doesn't happen. So why don't people who feel intuitive or lucky just win big? Because gambling systems are designed so that occasional wins keep you engaged, but long-term profit stays with the system. Even someone who has strong intuition can't override a system built on probability. Short bursts of success? Yes. Sustained, predictable winning? No. Part 8. The myth of psychic wealth. There's also a myth that spiritual ability equals financial success. But in reality, when people become wealthy in those spaces, it's usually through books, audiences, services, influence, not through predicting random number systems. Part 9. The real takeaway. So, what's really going on? Not manipulation of reality, not controlled outcomes, but a mix of natural variation in probability, heightened pattern recognition, emotional and intuitive sensitivity, personal history shaping perception. In closing, so if you've ever felt like I was so close, I knew it, I could almost influence it, you're not alone. But that doesn't mean the system can get beaten. It just means the human mind is incredibly good at finding meaning in uncertainty. Stay curious, but stay grounded. Please drop a comment below. Have you ever nearly had the big win? And I remember I shared the story about the pokies and it was the Red Baron. I don't know if you have that pokey machine in your country, but if you do, you'll know that the Red Baron, every time you get so many free spins, you're supposed to guess how many aeroplanes. And I was playing maximum, I think I was playing on either $1 or $2, and I wanted to go the maximum number of aeroplanes that you could, because all night I had I'd lost hundreds of dollars, which was stupid. I was under the influence, of course, and gambling lights up the same part of your brain as does meth. So all that music, those blinking lights stimulate that same part of your brain. That's why you gamble. So yes, I got free spins and I had guessed, and every time my guess, because I like to say at least 25, if you're going to be in it, you want to win, like, I think 25 is $750. And so every time free spin, yeah, I'm going 25 airplanes. But every free spin, I didn't get 25 airplanes. So the person who was with me just wanted me, I guess, to get my money back and said, just go 10. And I didn't want to. I wanted to go maximum, and I was on like maximum dollar, and I really would have won over $35,000. I was furious. But like I always wonder, what if I had gone maximum? Now remember, we think we've got influence, but this is a machine. So I don't really know. What if in another parallel universe, I did. And in another parallel universe, I won that $35,000. In another parallel universe, I lost it all again and went home broke. At least I went home with all my money back, and that I should be grateful. But yes, please drop a comment below. Do so respectfully. And I have looked at this topic before, and I have shared some of this information about my luck before. And I seem to also be very lucky at cent auctions. Like recently I went to a cent auction. There was 20 prizes on offer. I won 3 of those 20. All right, let me know, have you ever been close to the big one? And with my dream, I dreamt with lotto on a Saturday night. To win gold lotto, you have to get 6 out of 6 numbers. Those numbers range from 1 to 45. In my dream, I dreamt that I couldn't remember the 6th number. So I chose the last number, 45, and I should have chosen the first number, 1. And I've also been very lucky with roughies. But again, it's pattern. I'll give you another example. I was married to a gambler, and we were at the pub, and it was the Perth Cup. There was this horse. I remember the name vividly, Crimson King. And the place where it'd come before, the race that I was betting on was 7979, and it was 79 to 1. Well, that's a pattern. So I thought, yep, I'll bet on it. But I'm not a big gambler. I only put $1 on it. My husband said, why did you bet on that? And I said, well, it's got a nice name. And behind my back, he went and put $10 on it. It won. But I have to be truthful. My last few Melbourne Cup wins, the horse is still coming. Another time, and I never, so a roughie eventually is going to win, okay? But I won't waste money on favourites. Another time there was this horse, 600 to 1. And I thought, yep, I'll just put it for a place. And it was very cheap at the time. Well, at the races, it was raining. And this 600 to 1 got ahead of the other horses. And because it was raining so hard, the other horses didn't see it. It won. Anyway, I got $100 back for my place. Better than nothing. But I've been married to a man who gambled, and he would easily on a Saturday go through $600, and I'm too scared to lose that amount of money. And but when I was under the influence, as I've said, and it was the Red Baron, I wanted to go maximum, but my friend wouldn't let me. All right, do you think that I've got a big question for you. Do you think that this is all probability and random? Do you think, and I'd like to read your response, I had gone maximum on the Red Baron, do you think I would have won $35,000? Or do you think that my bet would have done something to the machine and again I would have lost? All right, please be kind to each other. Take care of yourselves. Love, light, and blessings. And I'll see you soon. Bye.